Q&A Review, print speaking to the blind, celebrating 40 years of audio newspaper production. Welcome to this week's edition of the Kirkintilloch Herald podcast, recorded at the Bishopbriggs Media Centre by our amazing volunteers. You can get in touch with us via Facebook, Twitter or Instagram using @Q&A Review. That is @CUEANDREVIEW. You can also contact us directly by emailing information@QNreview.com. That is INFORMATION @CUEANDREVIEW.com, or by calling 0141 772 3976. That's 0141 772 3976.
This week's podcast is published on Wednesday the 2nd of April 2025 and is read to you by volunteers Alan, Corey, Hunter, Ian, Jahan, Nikki and Philip, and we hope you enjoy the podcast. First Minister seeks answers. Report by Kevin Roberts. First Minister John Swinney has promised to raise community concerns over the location of the proposed new Lindsay Academy with Eastern Bartonshire Council. His commitment came during a Q&A session at Kirkintilloch Town Hall last Monday, during a visit by Mr Swinney and his Scottish Government colleagues who held a travelling cabinet meeting in the town. The issue of the sitting of the proposed new school at Whitecraigs Park was one of many topics raised during the Q&A, with concerns raised over the loss of open space, lack of consultation with the public, and the unsuitability of the land for such a major project. Wendy Stirling raised concerns over the loss of a public park, the felling of trees, peatlands being destroyed and protected habitats being concreted over. She told the First Minister and his cabinet colleagues, "Our community was denied a public consultation regarding the loss of Whitecraigs Park last year. With the focus on protecting the planet, what actions will the Scottish Government take to ensure these areas are protected for future generations?" Frank Wilson added that the site earmarked for the new school building had been deemed unsuitable and unsafe due to contamination around 5 or 6 years ago, and questions why it was suddenly suitable now. And David Cameron was highly critical of the lack of consultation with the public, describing engagement with Eastern Bartonshire Council as atrocious. He said freedom of information requests were having to be submitted to prise information out of council, and that councillors, including some from the First Minister's own political party, failed to reply to anyone when they were asked about Lindsay Academy. He told Mr Swinney, "Nobody from your party is engaged with the public over this recently. They voted against a public consultation. We asked them why they voted against it. We still do not have a reply. There's a lot of angst and frustration here in the community." Mr Swinney promised to take the issue and raise it directly with Eastern Bartonshire Council, and also gave an assurance that the responses of the local authority would be supplied to those who had raised questions during the Q&A session. "It's important when major developments are undertaken that there are good and proper consultations," he said. However, he also pointed out, "Obviously, you can go through the process and come to a conclusion that people don't like because of the decisions that have been made. But I think the better the process you go through, the more people can come to terms with the conclusion you arrive at. But you do need consultation, absolutely." Earlier this year, investigation survey works were carried out at Whitecraigs Park involving 28 boreholes, trial pits and gas monitoring points. Soil samples were also taken and sent to a laboratory to understand and confirm the makeup of the ground and any ground contaminants. Explaining the works on the Lindsay Academy rebuild section of its website, the council said that the surveys were typical of those undertaken on any development project, and that the results would be used to inform the development of a detailed design for the Lindsay Academy project and help refine the project cost plan. The council said the aims of a project include creating a modern secondary school for 1,400 pupils to replace the existing Lindsay Academy, demolishing the existing school at Myrtle Avenue, including any remediation of the site for potential community use, and developing and delivering an open space mitigation strategy as part of any planning application. The Council's website also states, as project developer, it is required to adhere to the same process and standards as any third-party developer with regards to the statutory planning process. It goes on, due to the size of the Whitegates Park site, the project is categorised as a major development under planning legislation. Due to the major development status, the Council, as the applicant, is required to undertake 2 in-person community engagement events in relation to the design of the new school and submit a subsequent pre-application report. The exact dates for submission of the planning application will be dependent on progress to the next stage of design development for the project. Submission dates will be widely publicised by the Council and letters will be sent to immediate neighbours of the site. The full planning application will be available to view on the Council's planning portal once the planning application has been submitted to the Planning Authority. And that article was written by Kevin McRoberts and read by me, Ian. This Week in History. April 5, 1994. Kurt Cobain, the iconic singer of US grunge band Nirvana, committed suicide. His body was not discovered until 3 days later. On this day last year, defending champions England kicked off their Euro 2025 qualifying campaign with a 1-1 draw against Sweden in front of 63,428 at Wembley. April 6, 1199, Richard I, Coeur de Lion, King of England, was killed in battle. On this day last year, an actor, Cole Brings Plenty, who appeared in a spin-off of the popular television western Yellowstone, has been found dead after he went missing amid a domestic violence investigation in Kansas, authorities said. April 7th, 2008, the Diana inquest ended with a jury concluding she was unlawfully killed because of gross negligence by drink driver Henry Paul and the paparazzi. On this day last year, families of hostages held by Hamas joined a rally in London to call for their release, saying the 6 months after the October the 7th attack have been held. April 8th, 1967. Barefoot Sandy Shaw won the Eurovision Song Contest for the UK with Puppet on a String. On this day last year, Leo Varadkar has said he had no regrets about standing down as he officially resigned as Ireland's Premier. And that was This Week in History from the Kirkintilloch Herald, as published on Wednesday the 2nd of April.
Education issues raised by East Dunbartonshire pupils. As well as concerns over the site for a new Lenzie Academy, many other issues were raised during the Q&A session held in Kirkintilloch Town Hall last Monday with the Scottish Government Cabinet. These included concerns over childcare availability and costs, the disruptive behaviour of some pupils in schools, the Scottish Government's failure to deliver on the commitment of the 2018 GP contract, the lack of vital health and social care services, and long waits for child and adolescent mental health assessments, followed by more long delays to receive appropriate care and treatment. The Cabinet faced further questions on business legislation and on topics related to the climate and net zero targets, including renewables, and the charging for garden waste collection in East Dunbartonshire impacting on recycling. Also in attendance at the Q&A session were a number of pupils from East Dunbartonshire secondary schools who asked questions including whether there were any plans to introduce university tuition fees, what plans there were to change the exam system to relieve stress on pupils, and whether mobile phones should be banned in schools. On introducing tuition fees, Mr. Sweeney said he didn't support it and wouldn't do it, And on the examination system, he said the government had taken receipt of a report from Professor Louise Hayward of the University of Glasgow, which recommended a move to a system that was much more broadly based on assessment of young people's achievements, rather than the requirement to pass certain exams at certain times. He added, the whole purpose of assessment in the education system should not be to put young people under stress. It should be to assess the capabilities of children and young people. On mobile phones, the First Minister said he was conscious that they could be incredibly disruptive in schools, and the government had given powers to head teachers to determine, school by school, on the right approach to take. You can watch the full public Q&A session at www.youtube.com/watch?V equals WK capital J capital J B capital F capital I 8 capital X O capital Q. That report was read by me, Nikki.
Outdoor fun for First Minister at Woodhead Park as recorded by Hunter MacDonald. First Minister John Swinney joined youngsters playing at Woodhead Park ahead of hosting the travelling cabinet meeting in Kirkintilloch last Monday, March the 24th. As reported in last week's Herald, Mr Swinney visited the play park to announce £25 million in funding for local authorities to invest in the renewal of outdoor play areas. And judging by the smiling faces of the children playing in the sunshine, they'd certainly be happy to see more new and improved play parks. All councils will receive a share of the funding to improve the standard of existing play parks, helping to ensure children have access to safe environments to play and socialise in. The funding is supported by the Play Vision Statement and Action Plan for 2025 to 2030. Speaking at Woodhead Park, the First Minister said, playing is key to a child's healthy development, and by enabling councils to invest in outdoor play parks, we will ensure families can access a safe, high-quality place to play within their communities. Marguerite Hunter-Blair, CEO, Play Scotland and Chair of External Play Strategy, Refresh Group, commented, "We're delighted to be celebrating this clear commitment from the Scottish Government to play opportunities and experiences for all our children and young people. It is fantastic that children's rights and voices are at the heart of this new vision for play."
MSP wants FlexiPath on more routes by Kevin McRoberts. Local Scottish Green MSP Ross Greer has urged the Scottish Government to allow FlexiPass rail tickets to more routes, helping more people in East Dunbartonshire to save money on their commute. ScotRail currently only offers flexible season tickets when one of the two stations travelled between has ticket gates. Only 5% of all ScotRail stations have these gates, meaning passengers travelling to or from most stations are left to pay full price. Ross Greer has now written to the Cabinet Secretary for Transport, Fiona Hislop, urging her to allow FlexiPass tickets at non-gated stations. If delivered, commuters from stations across East Dunbartonshire would save up to a third on their rail fare. In 2023, Mr Greer helped secure the removal of peak time rail fares from ScotRail services for a year. Despite this change boosting passenger numbers by 10 million and saving commuters hundreds of pounds, the Scottish Government decided to bring back peak fares in October 2024. At the time, the government pointed towards options such as the FlexiPass to help commuters save, despite it being limited to very few stations. Mr Greer said, "It is just daft for ScotRail to prevent local commuters from using cheaper tickets because they are travelling between stations without ticket gates. Only 5% of stations are gated, and they are almost all in city centres. This is an unfair additional cost for local travellers, which is why I've urged the Cabinet Secretary to allow flexi passes in all stations. Commuters saved hundreds of pounds when the Scottish Greens got rid of peak rail fares in 2023. I was disappointed when the Scottish Government decided to bring peak fares back, particularly when they claimed using the flexi pass was an alternative. That's not the case at 95% of stations. To help with the cost of living and to tackle the climate crisis, we need to make it easier and cheaper to use the train in Scotland. I hope the Scottish Government will agree to this change as soon as possible. That article was written by Kevin McRoberts and it was read by Jahan.
Huntershill House to be transformed. A report by Neil McGrory. East Dunbartonshire Council has approved planning applications to transform a historic 18th century building in Bishopbriggs into housing. Huntershill House was the subject of two linked applications which proposed the former home of Scottish political martyr Thomas Muir be refurbished and significantly expanded with a new extension larger than the existing property, which has been in poor condition for many years. Planning officers recommended granting the application subject to a number of conditions on the basis that the proposals were in line with planning policies. Convening the meeting, Councillor Callum McNally, Labour, Lenzie and Kirkintilloch South, backed the Planning Department's recommendation and was seconded by Councillor Stuart MacDonald, Kirkintilloch North and East and Twecker. However, Councillor Linda Williamson, SNP Bishopbriggs North and Campsie, opposed the extension, expressing the opinion that the scale of the proposed development was unsympathetic and incongruous in relation to the existing building, and that it would be intrusive and dominating. She was seconded by Provost Gillian Rennick, SNP Lenzie and Kirkintilloch South. During debate, Councillor Williamson said the application had attracted a significant number of objections, including one from Australia, showing the historic significance of Huntershill House. She added that it was not usual to grant permission for extensions larger than the original house. However, Councillor Williamson's motion to refuse was outvoted by 8 votes to 6. Groups opposed to the development included Bishopbriggs Community Council, East Dunbartonshire History and Heritage Forum and Friends of Thomas Muir. A lawyer and political reformer, Thomas Muir fought to give more people the vote. He was arrested in 1793 but fled to France, being declared an outlaw after failing to appear for trial. Later that year, he was arrested while risking a visit to his parents and was sentenced to be deported to Australia for 14 years. Escaping in 1796, he unsuccessfully attempted to flee to the United States and lost an eye in a naval battle near Spain. He died in 1799. That report was by Neil McGrory.
Benefit cap hits households. The number of East Dunbartonshire households on universal credit hit by the benefit cap rose last year, new figures show. A housing justice charity said the benefit cap is pushing households into homelessness, warning welfare cuts risk exacerbating this problem. It comes as the UK government announced reforms to the welfare system, which include a reduction to the health element of universal credit, a benefit aimed at helping people on a low income or those who are out of work, that is usually spent on housing costs, childcare and other living costs. New Department for Work and Pensions figures show 30 households receiving universal credit in East Dunbartonshire had their income capped in November 2024, up from 19 a year earlier. The current benefit cap levels, which apply to both universal credit and housing benefit, will last increase in April 2023. They stand at £22,020 per year for families with children across Britain. Polly Neate, Chief Executive of Shelter, said, "With a record number of children homeless and too many families at breaking point, struggling to balance soaring housing and living costs, we cannot continue to turn a blind eye to the solutions." She said the benefit cap is pushing more people into homelessness and warned the cuts to disability benefits presented by the UK government risk exacerbating this problem, increasing the likelihood of homelessness among disabled people.
Bikers are pumped up by new purpose-built track by Kevin McRoberts. Bikers in Bishopbriggs are having really good fun after the town's first purpose-built pump track was officially opened. The eagerly anticipated new facility, located in the town's Etive Park, was constructed as part of the wider Climate Ready Park, which aims to create an interesting, colourful, sustainable green space for the community of Bishopbriggs, including adaptations for our changing climate. The new facility has been designed to meet the needs of both inexperienced and experienced users, and provide a resource that can be enjoyed by people of all ages on BMX bikes, mountain bikes, skateboards and scooters. It has a circuit of ramps and turns designed to be ridden by riders pumping or generating momentum by body movements instead of pedalling or pushing. It has been designed in a way to provide a free-flowing track that doesn't feel cramped or stilt the flow for a rider, and provides a variation of lines and approaches that give all riders a chance to hone different skills. The track, which cost over £200,000 to construct and was funded by East Dunbartonshire Council capital funding, also has a safe elevated area where people can rest, socialise, or simply observe the other riders. Councillor Paul Ferretti, convener of the Council's Place, Neighbourhood and Corporate Assets Committee, officially opened the impressive new track along with children and adults from the popular Walk, Run, Cycle East Dunbartonshire group. Councillor Ferretti said, "I'm delighted that this exciting project has now been completed, and it's great to see people already enjoying it. We wanted the track to be accessible and inclusive, but at the same time progressive, meaning that it is suitable for both novice riders to coast around and for skilled riders to push their abilities. I hope it will help attract more people to the park and help ensure it continues to be an excellent resource for local bikers and skaters for many years to come." Lorna Thompson founded the Facebook active travel group Walk, Run, Cycle East Dunbartonshire in 2020, and it now has more than 8,700 members, some of whom recently joined Councillor Ferretti for the official opening. She said, "The pump track at Etive Park is a fantastic addition to East Dunbartonshire. I am sure Walk, Run, Cycle East Dunbartonshire members will take full advantage of it." That article was written by Kevin McRoberts.
Celebration of 65 years, a report by Kevin McRoberts. A cornerstone of Kirkintilloch's musical community, the Kirkintilloch Ladies Choir, is celebrating its 65th anniversary with a special concert. The concert, on Saturday, May 10 at 7:30 p.m. in St Mary's Church, will feature Scotland's renowned tenor and broadcaster Jamie McDougall and the award-winning Kirkintilloch Kelvin Brass. It will also include a world premiere, a newly commissioned piece by musical director Dr. Stephen Langston. Based on the memories of choir members, Dr. Langston has led the choir for 7 years and works alongside accompanist Nancy Burns, who first sang with the choir as a teenager. Founded in 1960 by local teacher Nan Duncan, the choir has been a beloved part of the town's cultural life, performing everywhere from BBC's Song of Praise to nursing homes, galas and the Glasgow Music Festival. Over the years, its repertoire has evolved from Elgar to Billie Eilish, proving that choral music can be both timeless and contemporary. Despite the challenges of the pandemic, which forced many choirs to close, Kirkintilloch Ladies' Choir persevered thanks to the dedication of its members, committee and musical team. President Andrea McCallion said, "The ladies in the choir are part of a long tradition of wonderful singers. It is right that we celebrate that legacy and the warmth and connection that the choir gives our members and, through them, our audiences. We hope that our audience will enjoy celebrating with us." Tickets are available from choir members or online at www.ticketsource.eu/Kirkintilloch-ladies-choir. That report was written by Kevin McRoberts.
A damning report. GP contract has failed to deliver. Report by Julie Curry. A Scottish Government agreement with GPs to improve general practice has failed to deliver on several of its commitments. 2018 General Medical Service (GMS) contract aimed to address financial pressures and growing workloads facing GPs and to improve patients' access. However, 7 years on, the estimated number of whole-time equivalent GPs has fallen, pressure in general practice has increased, proposals to support GP teams with more nurses, physiotherapists and other specialists have moved more slowly than planned, patients report finding it more difficult to access care. The Scottish Government has not set out how it intends to invest in general practice over the medium term, and it is unlikely to hit its target of 800 more GPs by 2027. Spending on general practice as a proportion of overall NHS spending has fallen slightly in recent years. Between 2021-22 and 2023-24, spending decreased by 6% in real terms, putting more pressure on GP practices. According to the latest Audit Scotland report, national data for primary care remains inadequate. There is also a lack of robust information about general practice demand, workload, workforce and quality of care. Audit Scotland said, "This limits the Scottish Government's ability to say whether the GMS contract changes represent value for money or have improved patient care." Stephen Boyle, Auditor General for Scotland, said, "The pandemic pushed back plans for general practice. However, the new delivery deadlines that were put in place were missed, and that's not been enough transparency about progress since then. The Scottish Government needs to clarify its plan for general practice and set out the actions, timescales and costs to deliver it." Dr Ian Morrison, Chairman of the BMA Scottish General Practitioners Committee, said the report demonstrates in forensic detail exactly why so many practices across Scotland are struggling to meet demand and the enormous pressures faced by GPs. He added, "The failure to invest in general practice and plan effectively to recruit GPs is taking its inevitable toll. After 7 years, the 2018 GP contract has failed to create anywhere near the services and capacity promised to the profession. Given the rising demand from a growing and ageing population with more complex health conditions, it means GPs are simply unable to provide the best possible service to their patients. It is clear we desperately need more GPs in Scotland." Age Scotland said the findings were worrying and reflect some of the issues that older people have shared. Catherine Crawford, the charity's chief executive, said, "This report paints a worrying picture of the state of primary care across Scotland. It also sadly reflects what older people have been telling us about their experiences trying to access the healthcare they need. Increasingly, We are hearing of older people being unable to get timely appointments with GPs, physiotherapists and nurses. The situation is particularly bad in more rural areas. We also hear of local GP practices closing and services such as blood tests and clinics for conditions being moved out of GP surgeries, making it even more difficult for older people to access the care they need. The report recommends that, as part of its work on a refreshed vision for primary care, the Scottish Government should publish a clear delivery plan for general practice by the end of 2025, which includes specific actions, timescales and costs. This should also clarify when it will implement the outstanding commitments from the 2018 GMS contract. It's not a surprise. The stark finding of the Audit Scotland report will not come as a surprise to any GP working in Scotland today. That's the view of Dr Chris Provan, Chairman of the Royal College of General Practitioners in Scotland. He said, "General practice is felt to be in a state of perpetual crisis following years of underinvestment and systematic neglect. The report lays bare the increased pressure that GPs and their teams have worked tirelessly to absorb, often at the expense of their job satisfaction and personal well-being. The divergence of workload and resource simply cannot continue, and we welcome the report's recommendations for better financial decision-making, workforce planning, and data gathering in general practice." That report was written by Julie Curry and read by Ian.
Positive report puts a spring in the step at Lenzie. A report by Kevin McRoberts. There's a spring in the step of everyone in the Lenzie Academy community following the publication of a positive inspection report by Education Scotland. As previously reported in the Herald, a team of inspectors recently put the school under the microscope and last month released their encouraging findings. They evaluated the school as good for leadership of change and ensuring well-being, equality and inclusion, and very good for learning, teaching and assessment and raising attainment and achievement. Head teacher Brian Patterson said, "As a school, we are very happy with the inspection report, which highlights many important and major strengths within the school. We are particularly pleased that the inspectors recognised the very strong positive relationships and teamwork that exists across all areas of our school community. The inspection team was highly impressed with the high quality of learning and teaching they witnessed in the school across all curricular areas and with the very positive outcomes achieved for young people in terms of their attainment, wider achievement and positive post-school destinations." Councillor Linda Williamson, convener of the Council's Education Committee, visited the school to meet staff and pupils and to congratulate them on a very strong inspection report. She said, "Creating a learning atmosphere that gives pupils the confidence to have high expectations and aspirations for themselves is very special. It is clear that the relationships that have been built in this school are such that everyone is working together towards achieving the very best for every pupil." Inspectors were clear that the teachers' focus in supporting young people was reaping rewards and that, as a result, pupils are enthusiastic and positive about what they can achieve. Well done, everyone. Key strengths identified by the inspectors include strong leadership and support from senior staff, consistently well-planned learning experiences for young people, and young people highly motivated to learn and achieve, taking responsibility for their own learning and attainment. The full Lenzie Academy inspection report can be found on the Education Scotland website. That report was written by Kevin McRoberts.
New House Plan Refused Over Loss of Open Space by Neil McGrory. East Dunbartonshire Council's Planning Committee has voted against proposals to build a house at Laxton Drive in Lenzie. Planning officers had recommended that although the development would result in the loss of an area of usable open space, and was therefore contrary to policy, a significant portion of the site would become a car park, while the application also proposed a number of enhancements to Netherton Avenue, which on balance meant it was an acceptable form of development in principle. However, the proposals had also generated a significant number of objections. The Council received a total of 45 letters of representation from 29 addresses, which it counted as 28 individual objections and 1 general comment. Objectors expressed various concerns, such as the loss of open space which was not designated for housing, environmental impact, including the effect on trees which were covered by protection orders, loss of habitat, and possible removal of public footpaths. Among other points, the objectors warned about the effect on road safety and parking, and said that allowing the development would set a precedent for the surrounding land. As the Council's Planning Committee considered the case, Independent Councillor Willie Patterson, Lenzie and Kirkintilloch South, moved to refuse the application on the basis that the development would result in lost open space and was therefore contradictory to planning policy. He was seconded by Provost Gillian Renwick, who represents the same ward for the SNP. Planning Convener Councillor Callum McAnally, Labour's councillor for the ward, had already moved to grant the application based on the recommendations in the report, seconded by Councillor Stuart MacDonald, Labour, Kirkintilloch North and East and Tweaker. Provost Renwick said the application was a step too far for that particular area. They need the extra parking, especially with the change in the law coming up, she said, before adding that no survey had been done on the potential impact on wildlife, despite the presence of deer and birds in the area. The committee voted 11-4 in favour of refusing the application. That article was written by Neil McGrory.
Wildlife detectives. A wildlife charity is calling for wildlife detectives across Scotland to take part in its annual Living with Mammals survey. The People's Trust for Endangered Species is asking readers to search their gardens, parks and urban green spaces and record their findings online. Results help track changes in wild mammal populations from bats to wood mice and weasels. David Wembridge, surveys coordinator, said, "Whatever size your garden or park, taking part is a great way to reconnect with nature on your doorstep and build a picture of the green health of urban spaces and the role they play supporting wildlife." In 2024, over 700 sites were surveyed across the UK, with hedgehogs, grey squirrels, foxes, mice and bats being recorded most. Visit https://get-involved/surveys/living-with-mammals/ to take part in the survey.
Family announcements. In Memoriam. Ginley. May (Mary), April 6th, 2024. In loving memory of my dearest darling mum. Through the tears in my eyes may not glisten, and my face is not always sad. There is never a night or a morning but I think of the mum I had. Not a day do I forget you. In my heart you are always here, for I love and miss you so much every day throughout the year. Together again with Dad. Loved, remembered and missed always. Suzanne, Marie and Sid. Kiss, kiss. Kilpatrick, James. First anniversary. In loving memory of our dad,
granddad, great-granddad and brother, who passed away on April 8th, 2024. Love you always, miss you every day. Love David, Thomas, Kelly and family. Kiss, kiss, kiss.
Don't forget your child's MMR jag. Report by Kevin McRoberts. NHS Greater Glasgow and Clyde is reminding parents and carers to make sure their child takes up their invitation to receive the MMR vaccine. The vaccine, which is given to children at age 1 and then administered as a booster at 3 years, 4 months, is a highly effective protection against measles, mumps and rubella. Vaccination clinics are held in every part of the health board area, with specialist pre-5 immunisation teams supporting parents/carers and children through the process. Parents and carers will receive a letter inviting their child for immunisation, and that appointment will normally be followed up by a phone call the day before and a text. As is the case across Scotland, the early part of 2025 has seen a number of measles cases among children, and immunisation staff nurse Jackie McMenemy is keen to remind people of the importance of the MMR jag. Jackie said, "We generally see good levels of uptake, and we'd like to thank all parents and carers for taking up their vaccine slot, but recent cases show we can't be complacent. Measles is a completely preventable disease, and we'd always encourage parents and carers to take up the opportunity to receive this and other vaccines. As well as protecting their own children, getting the vaccine helps to keep the spread of measles at bay, thus helping to protect the wider population too. To contact the Pre-5 immunisation team for the North East/Eastern Bartonshire, call 0141 531 6635. The service operates from health centres across the area, including Springburn, Kirkintilloch and Stobhill. And that report was written by Kevin McRoberts, read by me, Ian.
Cadder's Bicentenary Concert. The first in a series of events to mark the bicentenary of the present building of Cadder Parish Church in Bishopbriggs takes place this Friday, April the 4th. The site in Cadder Road near the canal has actually been a place of worship for almost 900 years, but the current building came into use in 1825. Reverend John McGregor, the current minister at Cadder, said, "Those who worship at Cadder each Sunday are rightly proud of their church building." Friday's event will be a double celebration with a choral performance by the Glasgow Philharmonic Male Voice Choir, which is marking its centenary. The choir, which was formed from the Partick Male Voice Choir in 1925, will be performing some popular favourites at the concert, which begins at 7:30 p.m. Admission is free, with any donations at the door going to the Prince and Princess of Wales Hospice in Glasgow.
As published on Wednesday the 2nd of April, the Kirkintilloch and Bishopbriggs Herald letters page. Let's talk. Please send your letters via email to kirkyherald@gnscotland.co.uk. That's KIRKYHERALD @GNScotland.co.uk, and write letters in the subject field. Please keep letters to a maximum of 300 words. Letters cannot be published without a name and postal address. Also include a daytime phone number if possible. We reserve the right to edit any letter. Financial literacy. Sir, the recent OECD report highlighting the lack of financial literacy among Scottish politicians should be a wake-up call for us all. As stewards of public resources, it is imperative that our elected representatives possess the necessary skills to navigate complex financial landscapes effectively. In today's rapidly changing economic environment, having politicians who can make informed fiscal decisions is crucial. Inadequate financial understanding could lead to misguided policies that may adversely affect local communities and public services. The call for financial training for MSPs should not be dismissed. Instead, it should be embraced as an opportunity for growth and improvement. Our local councils and communities depend on the sound financial policies to thrive, and we must push for accountability and competence in our leaders. Let us advocate for a future where our politicians are equipped to make decisions that foster economic stability and growth. The stakes are too high for us to ignore this critical aspects of governance. Yours, etc. Alistair Marjorie, by email. Scarlet Woman. Sir. Oh dear. Nicola Sturgeon has entitled her autobiography, Frankly. This unfortunately leads to the well-known Gone with the Wind line. Frankly, my dear, I don't give a damn. Is Miss Sturgeon's book going to be Gone with the Wind straight to the remainder pile? Yours, etc. Gerald Edwards, by email. Free thinking. Sir, the desire for independence is not narrow nationalism, as many ill-informed people suggest, but rather a desire for freedom to decide Scotland's future destiny, unhindered by a distant elite London ruling establishment. The courageous and vibrant young country of Estonia, an EU member, with a fraction of Scotland's population or resources, follows its own destiny. The small, prosperous and independent nation has more influence in shaping Europe, and indeed the world, than our ancient sovereign nation of Scotland. Yours, etc. Grant Fraser, address supplied. Their chance has gone. Sir, nobody can accuse the UK government of having shied away from the democratic process when it was mooted that Scotland should be self-governing. The Prime Minister at the time, David Cameron, accepted the proposition put forward by SNP leader Alex Salmond, and it was arranged to hold an independence referendum in September 2014. As is common knowledge, Salmond and his supporters lost the vote, and the regional parliament carried it on as if it had been set up by a Labour-Liberal coalition when the Scottish Executive was formed on May 12, 1999. We had a succession of SNP leaders, all equally determined to reverse the decision taken by the electorate of Scotland at the time of the referendum in 2014. But now, SNP influence in the political scene at both Westminster and Holyrood is at its lowest ebb. It could well be said they have had their chance, and they blew it. It is highly probable that any influence they may have had will be dispelled in the 2026 Holyrood elections, as it most certainly was at the Westminster election in June 2024. Yours, etc. Robert I.G. Scott, by email. Shutting down wealth. Sir, industry sources tell us, authoritatively, that the North Sea could produce around half of all the oil and gas in the UK will need up till at least 2050, if new projects are developed. Meanwhile, as instead we shut down our existing wealth, China continues burning dirty coal and making us more dependent on their products. As it stands, Offshore Energies UK, OEUK, says the UK is on track to produce just 4 billion of the 13 to 15 billion barrels of oil and gas the country will need over the next 25 years. It is time for those making decisions in London and Edinburgh to put away all the green zealotry nonsense and get the UK powerhouse moving again. Given 25 years, they could make a good start on installing small, clean nuclear plants dotted across the UK to help in great part to pick up the load. We need planning, not zealotry. It is now even more clear the Green Emperor is not wearing clothes. When will Energy Secretary David Miliband be convinced? Yours, etc. Alexander Mackay, by email. And that was this week's letters page, Let's Talk, as published on Wednesday, the 2nd of April.
Kirk's revival is flagship project, a report by Kevin McRoberts. Campsie High Kirk has been highlighted as an innovative flagship project in the repurposing of ownerless properties. The kirk, at the heart of Lennoxtown's community, is to be transformed into a community arts hub after the Friends of Campsie High Kirk successfully applied to acquire the building from the King's and Lord Treasurer's Remembrancer, KLTR, for the nominal sum of £1 plus the costs of transfer. Last week, Culture Minister Angus Robertson and KLTR officials viewed the imposing Grade A listed building designed by renowned Scottish architect David Hamilton, which was gutted by fire in 1984. They heard from the Friends of Campsie High Kirk about their vision for the property, and architects accompanied the group to supply practical details as to how the ruined kirk will be returned to the centre of Lennoxtown life. Mr. Robertson said, "The transformation of Campsie High Kirk into a vibrant community arts hub is a shining example of how Scotland's heritage can be repurposed to benefit local communities. Through the Ownerless Property Transfer Scheme, OPTS, opportunities to breathe new life into historic buildings are being unlocked, while delivering a real cultural and economic impact. The vision and dedication of the Friends of Campsie High Kirk demonstrate what can be achieved when communities pull together to shape their own futures. The OPTS provides opportunities for properties which have fallen to the Crown as ownerless to be brought back into purposeful use for the benefit of local communities. The innovative scheme allows local authorities and community groups to apply for ownerless properties to be transferred to them for a nominal sum. To be successful, applicants must clearly demonstrate that the planned use is supported by the community, sustainable and in the public interest. Bobby Sandman, KLTR Chief Executive, said, "The ownerless property transfer scheme began as a simple idea that land and buildings without an owner don't have to mean places without a future. With the right support, these neglected sites could be handed back to communities with energy, vision and purpose." Mr. Sandeman praised the Friends for their work, creativity and commitment to create a new chapter for the kirk which has stood empty for decades. The idea behind OPTS has found its moment, and here it's being delivered in real time, he said. We are delighted to see the opportunities provided by the OPTS used in this way and look forward to watching the transformation. Craig Brooks, chair of the Friends of Campsie High Kirk, commented, "This is not just about saving a building. It's about something much bigger. It's about communities being empowered by those in a position to give them the tools to make it happen. That applies from the government right down to communities like ours." In the year since OPTS was launched, it has provided opportunities for green spaces and affordable housing. That report was written by Kevin McRoberts.
Good day to you. It is a beautiful sunny day here in Eastern Bartonshire. I hope it finds you well and in good spirits. And the sun has got his hat on. Sorry, let's read on to the church news. First of all, Milton Campsie Church News. Marmalada is this year's Go Mad theme. Stories of Jesus will be brought to us by a refugee bear from darkest Peru. Now I wonder who that is. Beginning on Sunday, last Sunday that is, July the 27th, it will be run for almost 2 weeks, culminating in a charity concert on Thursday, August the 5th. There will be events for everyone, youngsters and adults. Preparations have begun. Just 17 weeks to go. The next Go Mad Extra is on Sunday, June the 1st, from 1 p.m. until 3 p.m. Looking towards our union with Campsie Church, a steering group has been formed and we're aiming at a service of union at the end of November. Ecumenical Bible studies are being held in Campsie Church, Lennoxtown, on Mondays at 2 p.m. Our minister, Julie, as previously intimated, is now interim moderator at St David's Memorial Park Church in Kirkintilloch. Meantime, Cafe Connect is on Tuesdays 9:30 till 12 noon. Time to Pray is on Wednesday at 7 p.m. in the Eric Liddell Room. On Friday at 6:15 p.m. with the Boys Brigade, Anchor Boys and Junior sections. Then on Monday at 9:45 a.m. Baby and Toddler Group meet. At 2 p.m. Hobbies Club meet. And then at 7:30 p.m. the Badminton Club. So there you have it. All the church news from Milton or Campsie. Now moving on to Springfield Cambridge Church in Bishopbriggs. On Sunday, April the 6th, morning worship will be conducted by the Reverend Ian Taylor in the sanctuary at 11 a.m. An offering will be taken during the service. Please place your offering in the offering plates as they are passed around. Teas and coffees will be served in the Cameron Hall after morning worship. Come and enjoy the fellowship. The Sunday school meets in room 2, where Crest facilities are also available. Morning worship is also being live streamed on the Springfield Cambridge Church YouTube channel. Link to this can be found at www.springfieldcambridge.org.uk and Facebook page where up-to-date information about events and church organisations can also be found. There will be no vestry hour on Wednesday, April the 2nd. There will be a short midweek service on Wednesday, April the 2nd in Springfield Cambridge Chapel from 11:10 to 11:30. Tea and coffee and chat as usual in the Hall of Fellowship. The Guild is inviting the congregation to join them in supporting the East Dunbartonshire Food Bank warehouse by bringing donations and leaving them in the cupboard in the cloakroom, and there'll be a list attached there of special items. And tickets are on sale for the quiz and fish supper night at £12. April the 11th will be available in the Hall of Fellowship on Sunday, April the 6th from members of the fundraising group, and I'm sure they'll make themselves known. Regent Hall in Kirkintilloch, Church of God, on Wednesday, Coffee Corner is open from 12 noon to 2 p.m. for home baking and coffee. Join our friends and neighbours for a coffee and a chat. The next Sunday service is on Sunday, April the 6th at 4 p.m. and will be a family praise event. This will feature our praise band, video presentations and guest speaker, Fergus Riley from Barrhead. Refreshments will be served after the service. All welcome. For up-to-date further information, check out their services. Yes, visit the website www.regenthall.org. And I have a quote from the Bible here. These things are written that you may believe that Jesus is the Christ, the Son of God, and that by believing you may have life in his name. And now to Lenzie Old Parish Church it is. Family service and kids club is at 11 a.m. on Sunday, April the 6th. A creche is available for children under 3. The Quilt and Craft Group meet every Wednesday 10 till 12 noon in the session room. Thursday afternoon club is on Thursday, April the 10th, 2 till 4 p.m. Enjoy tea and coffee, home baking, followed by a game of Scrabble, Dominoes, Rubik's Cube or Uno. If preferred, you can just sit back and chat and do some knitting if you wish. The Come and Sing Dementia Friendly Singing Group meets in the Church Hall on Tuesday, April the 15th, 1:15 p.m. to 2:45 p.m. A warm welcome awaits all, and of course, there's a usual cuppa with delicious home baking. Please feel free to come and sing. Scottish Country Dancing is on every Thursday, 7:15 p.m. to 9:30 p.m. Come along for fun, fitness and friendship. You will be made very welcome. Cool Curling is on Friday, April the 4th, 7 p.m. for 7:30 in the Church Hall. Ticket donations for adults £6, children £3, tea and coffee or a soft drink is included. And then to Home Church in Kirkintilloch. And as explained before, they also have a sister church in the East End of Glasgow in Carmyle. And then they have a home kitchen cafe style church in Skelmorley at 10:30 a.m. and online. A church for all ages. He is a rock, his work is perfect, everything he does is just and fair. He is a faithful God who does no wrong. How just and upright is he? And that's a quote from Deuteronomy. Sunday, Kirkintilloch campus, 9:30 and 11:30 a.m. Worship service followed by refreshments. Warm welcome awaits you at either service, which will be identical. That means the two services are on at different times and it'll be the same service, same songs, same sermon. There's also a creche and Sunday school in the Carmel campus. 10:30am evening service with communion on the 1st, 2nd and 4th Sunday of each month at various locations. Excuse me. At 6:30pm we have other services that run through the week and meetings. Check out their website. Check out Zoom as well for various meetings that they have on Zoom. And then the engine room is at 9:30 and on a Tuesday, and Zoom Bible study at 2:30pm until 4pm. Wednesday prayer and Bible study groups. Thursday prayer meeting in church is at 7am. Football at 7:30pm. Friday's youth group meet at 7:30pm, and the prayer meeting is also at 7:30pm. Home radio is also available every day. See Facebook, Instagram and Home Church website for information for Carmyle, Home Kitchen, Cafe Church, Skelmorley and of course Kirkintilloch. Now back to Lenzie and Lenzie Union Parish Church. The Sunday service is at 11am. Young people are also welcome at Lighthouse and Bible class. A live stream of the service will be available on YouTube. You can also have the meeting place, tea, coffee, home baking every Wednesday 10 till 12 noon in the new hall. Everyone from the very young to the young at heart is welcome to attend. We also have a good selection of greeting cards and second-hand books for sale. Then of course they have the usual coffee pot as well on the Friday for tea, coffee and home baking. A warm, friendly welcome atmosphere for all ages. Now to Bishopbriggs again, Cadder Parish Church. Beside the canal. For full details, see their website, all the W's, cadderchurch.org. We look forward to welcoming you this coming Sunday to our morning worship service at 10:30am, led by the Reverend John McGregor, and music is led by Jose Javier and also their choir. Our church services are videoed and recorded and are available on the church website. Tea and coffee served after each service. And the food bag, if you wish to donate to the local food bank, you can bring your donations of food to the church, or the coffee shop at Cadder Coffee Shop is open on Tuesdays to Thursday 10 to 2pm. Yes, and all are welcome. Yeah, everyone's welcome to come along and enjoy the food and good fellowship. That means a good blather. And then the guild meet and a final meeting of the session in their daffodil tea on Thursday, April the 3rd. What is a daffodil tea? Do you get tea that tastes like daffodils? Who knows? Anyway, at 7pm in the South Halls, Kirsty Duncan is a professional singer and is coming to entertain them. Chat and Play is on Saturday, April the 5th, 10am in the South Hall. Early fellowship on Zoom and in person at the South Hall, Tuesday and Thursday at 9:30am. The Cadder Singers Concert on Wednesday, April 9th in Cadder South Hall, Kirkintilloch Road. Then they also have Lent reflections weekly until Easter. Cadder 200 concert, Glasgow Philharmonic Choir also will be singing that night and performing on April the 4th at 7:30pm in the Sanctuary. And then we move to Torrance Parish Church. The morning service in person is at 10:30am, conducted by Stuart Irvin, the minister. During the service, the youngsters meet together in Crest, Junior Church and Frog. To join the service online, click on Torrance Parish Church online.church. The cafe is open every Wednesday 9 till 12 noon for teas, coffee and delicious home baking. Why not come and taste for yourself? The Boys Brigade meet on Wednesdays 7 till 9pm, P70S6. To find out about regular weekly activities, check the website, What's On section. And that is the simple title of www.tpc.org.uk. And there you have it. That's the church news for this week. Thank you for listening to my dulcet tones. Excuse my wee cough there in the middle. Blessings to you and have a good weekend.
Wednesday, April the 2nd. District News General. Dogs Trust West Calder's Dog of the Week is 2-year-old Collie Cross, Jet. Jet is a great dog for a family. Jet is looking for a home with active adopters who will take him on lots of exciting walking adventures. He also requires owners who are happy to continue with his training. Jet is a fast learner and is enjoying his training at Dogs Trust West Calder, although Jet has more to learn as he can forget his manners when he is excited or unsure. He could love children aged 14 and over, and he would like to be the only pet in his new home. To build a bond with Jet before he is adopted, multiple meets will be required at the rehoming centre. Jet is a terrific boy who would make a great addition to a family looking for a trainable and affectionate dog. visit www.dogstrust.org.uk. That's www.dogstrust.org.uk. Holyrood View. Travelling Cabinet visits Kirkintilloch by Rona Mackay MSP. It was good to see so many of my constituents attending the public discussion with First Minister John Swinney and members of his cabinet at Kirkintilloch last week. More than 100 people took part in a hugely successful travelling cabinet event at the Town Hall. As the FM said, it was a brilliant way for ministers to engage with local people about the priorities relevant to them at a local and national level. Topics raised at the Q&A answer session range from energy to education, net zero and open spaces. The work to support local families was very much at the forefront of the FM's visit, and I was delighted to accompany the First Minister on a tour of the area, including Woodhead Park at Kirkintilloch, as he announced £25 million worth of funding to local authorities to invest in the renewal of play areas for children. Other visits include to the new housing development at the site of the former Lairston Primary, and Mr Swinney also praised the work of our excellent local schools. A number of pupils from East Dunbartonshire schools attended the public meeting in the Town Hall, including St Ninian's High, Bishopbriggs Academy, Beauclair Academy and Bearsden Academy. The students asked some brilliant questions ranging from free university tuition fees to stress in schools, the examination system and mobile phones in class. With our students in mind, I am delighted that free school meal eligibility is expanding to all P67 pupils in my constituency whose family is in receipt of the Scottish Child Payment. Children in P1 to P5 automatically receive free school meals during term time. This is also a key part of the Scottish Government's ambition to eradicate child poverty. While the UK Labour Government, by its own assessment, is choosing to increase child poverty with savage welfare cuts, the SNP Scottish Government, with its game-changing Scottish Child Payment, is working hard to reduce child poverty. You can watch the full public meeting online on YouTube. If you need any assistance, please contact my team at rona.mackay.msp@parliament.scot. That's RONA.MACKAY@parliament.scot. More information can be found on Rona Mackay's website, www.ronamackay.scot. Kirkintilloch Horticultural Society. Our next meeting is on Thursday, April the 17th. The speaker will be Nancy Stevens, whose talk is entitled Poppies, Peacocks and Parterres, Gardens of Scotland. Nancy is a keen amateur gardener and journalist. She is also a former chair of Baldown Gardening Club. We will also hold our second spring show at this meeting. There will be no judge. Instead, each member will have the opportunity to vote for their favourite exhibit, and the exhibit with the most votes will win a £10 garden voucher. The classes for the spring shows are as follows. 1. 1 flowering plant. 2. 1 container hyacinths. 3. 1 container crocuses. 4. 1 container narcissi/daffodils. 5. 1 container tulips. 6. 1 container cacti or succulents. 7. 1 container living plants. 8. 1 container primula/polyanthus. 9. 1 container spring cut flowers. New members are always welcome. We meet at the Enterprise House on the third Thursday of the month at 7:30 p.m. For more information, go to www.kirkintillochhorty.org.uk. Kirkintilloch and District Society of Antiquities. Our next meeting is on Thursday, April the 24th, and it's the annual general meeting. The speaker will be David Forsyth, Confessions of a Tour Guide. All evening meetings are held at 7:30 p.m. in the Park Centre, 45 Kerr Street, Kirkintilloch, G66 1LF. New members are always welcome. Annual membership subscription is £10. For more information, check online. River Woodland Creation Grant launched. The River Woods Blueprint project, led by the Scottish Wildlife Trust, is excited to announce the launch of a £200,000 grant to kickstart a pipeline of new river woodland creation and restoration activities across Scotland. The River Woods Development Grant will fund 10 to 20 environmental NGOs, charitable trusts, community groups, local public bodies and others in Scotland to produce river woodland development plans, the essential first step in enhancing local river health, creating new homes for wildlife and improving access to nature. Scotland has over 125,000 kilometres of rivers and streams. River woodlands, the trees and woods in, next to and near rivers, burns and lochs, are vital for creating and maintaining healthy rivers. These biologically rich areas provide a link between land and water and are on the green arteries of an ecosystem, supporting many of our native species, including ospreys, white-tailed eagles, otters, red squirrels and Atlantic salmon. Unfortunately, the impact of human activity has caused declines in the health of these precious habitats, with a survey by the Scottish Environmental Protection Agency revealing that only 13% of riverside habitats are in good condition. Restoration is urgently needed, but solutions are often complex and must be tailored to each catchment. Many local organisations are aware of these challenges and are motivated to implement solutions, but often lack the funding for necessary initial surveys, scoping and consultation. A river woodland development plan identifies the need for conservation intervention, as well as the current opportunities for, and barriers to, implementation, taking a project from its concept to the identification of planting or restoration sites where the financial, ecological and operational details are ready to be delivered. Up until July 28, applicants can apply for up to £20,000 to carry out the necessary scoping, analysis, community engagement and planning to identify viable opportunities for expanding river woodlands and improving riparian habitats. Successful candidates will be notified in October 2025 and have until March 2027 to complete their development plans. For more information and to apply, visit riverwoods.org.uk. And that was this week's General District News, Wednesday 2nd April. Read by Ian.
Sport. Speedway. Swedish Star has praised Ashfield. Written by Phil Lanning. Read by Alan Todd. World number 1 Freddie Lindgren says Glasgow Tigers has done a remarkable job with the stadium and track as he returned to Ashfield for the first time in 14 years. The 39-year-old Swede visited the venue last month as he spent 2 days putting in the hours and laps for pre-season training. Lindgren then began his racing campaign at the Niels Christian Iversen Testimonial and the Peter Craven Memorial at Bellevue. He said, "I'm really grateful for the opportunity to come here for my pre-season training. It has been absolutely amazing. We've been made very welcome by everyone at Glasgow, the staff and the management. The track crew have done an amazing job. I have been here before, but a long time ago. I looked it up and I think it was 14 years ago. I did the James Greaves Testimonial at Ashfield and I actually went unbeaten. They have done a great job with the track, widening it and making a better racing surface. It was really cool to ride here for 2 days. They've done a remarkable job with the stadium. It's very nice now for the riders and the spectators. Everyone can benefit from the work they have done here." Lindgren praised the circuit, which has hosted a Grand Prix Challenge, Grand Prix Qualifier and world-class test matches in previous seasons. Ashfield will once again be the venue for an FIM event in 2025 with the SGP2 round on May 24th. He said, "It's a really fun track to ride and I think I would really like to race here. It's really wide with the banking. I can see that it can create different racing lines. It's good for overtaking and that's what we need in Speedway, entertainment on the track." Lindgren refused to rule out one day turning out for the Tigers. He laughed, "Never say never. I wouldn't rule it out. We'll see in the future what happens." Written by Phil Lanning, read by Alan Todd. Mary is standing down as the SWPL's chairwoman. Uncredited. The Scottish Women's Premier League, SWPL, has announced chairwoman Mary Galbraith will depart at the end of the season. Galbraith was appointed in the summer of 2022 and has played a key role over the last 3 years in overseeing the transformational growth of the organisation. During that period, the SWPL has established new competitions, a new brand identity, and secured partnerships with Sky Sports and Scottish Power, whilst also delivering record revenues, crowds, and viewing figures. SPFL Group Chief Executive and SWPL board member Neil Doncaster said, "The board of the SWPL would like to thank Mary for her commitment and contribution to the SWPL over the last 3 years. She has played a pivotal role at an important time in the history of women's football in Scotland. Mary leaves the SWPL with our sincere thanks and we wish her well in her other endeavours." Galbraith added, "It has been a privilege to lead the SWPL during its formative years. We have achieved significant growth and established strong foundations which will serve the SWPL for years to come. I feel that now is the right time to hand over the reins as the organisation enters the next phase in its development. The process to recruit a new chairperson will begin immediately, and details of the role and candidate profile can be found at the SWPL website." Article uncredited, read by Alan Todd. New deal to keep rugby on free TV. Written by Brian Yule, read by Alan Todd. ITV and BBC Sport have agreed a new 4-year partnership for the live, free-to-air rights for the Men's Six Nations Championship from 2026 to 2029. BBC Sport will bring audiences live TV coverage, TV highlights and digital clips including 5 live matches involving Scotland and Wales each year, plus comprehensive live coverage of the Women's Six Nations and Under-20 Six Nations. In addition, it will also present live audio commentary across multiple platforms including radio, BBC Sounds and the BBC Sport website and app. ITV will broadcast 10 live matches each season including every England fixture for the duration of the deal, plus highlights and exclusive content on ITV Sport, social accounts and YouTube. Hayley Valentine, Director, BBC Scotland, said, "This announcement is fantastic news for rugby fans across Scotland who watch the Six Nations in huge numbers. I'm delighted that the free-to-service, which is enjoyed by so many, has been extended by this agreement. It has been a brilliant collaborative effort and I am thrilled that the BBC, alongside ITV, will continue to provide the very best coverage of the tournament." Niall Sloan, ITV Director of Sport, added, "This is a monumental deal for rugby fans and ITV as we ensure the Men's Six Nations stays on free-to-air television. We are also proud to be the home of all England matches for the duration of the deal, including England's much-revered clashes with Ireland, Scotland and Wales. The tournament is always one of the sporting highlights of the year, so we look forward to continuing to work with Six Nations Rugby and each union and federation moving forward." Tom Harrison, CEO of Six Nations Rugby, said, "The significance of these new and innovative free-to-air partnerships cannot be overstated. By strengthening rugby's relationships with ITV and BBC, the sport can continue to give as many fans as possible in the UK access to enjoy live coverage of the Six Nations. These partnerships allow us to maximise audience reach whilst generating critical revenue for the game, enabling each union and federation to protect and grow the sport in the coming years." Written by Brian Yule, read by Alan Todd. City dug out a victory as Smith grabs a late winner. Written by Brian Yule, read by Alan Todd. Glasgow City defender Kimberly Schmidt says they need to keep it going after grabbing a late winner at Celtic on Friday night. The 2-1 victory sees City remain 3 points behind leaders Hibernian going into the international break. A Celtic free kick was the only chance for the first 20 minutes, but the away side would take the lead after 23 minutes. Ali Gambon played in Brenna Lovera down the inside left channel, and the American left Kelsey Doherty helpless as she found the top corner. Smith cleared off the line to deny Emma Lawton an equaliser on 55 minutes, but 5 minutes later, Saoirse Noonan fired in a half volley to level. City keeper Lee Gibson was called into action to prevent first Lucy Ashworth-Clifford and then Natalie Ross giving the home side the lead. 4 minutes from time, it was the visitors who snatched the winner. Smith's header from a corner was stopped on the line, but she smacked in the rebound to make it 2-1. Smith, who was named Supporters Player of the Match, told the club's media team, "It's a huge win. We all fought really hard and dug in really deep. It was really important to get the first goal, to go 1-0 up, and it was a gorgeous goal too. It was a banger, so that was good. After they equalised, it was so important to keep fighting to get the winner, with the way the league is and how tight it is at the top. I headed it, and it came right back to where I was, so I got the touch with my right foot and it went in, so I was very happy. Given how we started after the split, it was really important to get the win, so let's keep it going." City will return to action on April 13th at home to Motherwell, who they beat last month 4-0 in the final game before the split. Smith said, "The win was very important for momentum. The girls will go away for the international break, show their class, and then we are all back together." Rossvale women lost 2-0 away to Boroughmuir Thistle in the SWPL 2, with goals from Louise Mason and Caitlin Lynch, both coming in the first half. They remain a point above Ayr United at the bottom of the table and also have a break, returning to action on April 13th to host Gartcairn. Written by Brian Yule, read by Alan Todd. Rob Roy loss sees them fall back into the relegation zone. Uncredited. Kirkintilloch Rob Roy boss John Gibson was aghast as his side lost 1-0 at Thorneywood United without his keeper even having a save to make. Bobby Barr grabbed the only goal of the game 5 minutes before the break as he smashed in a penalty. This saw Rob Roy fall back into the relegation zone, with Irvine Meadow beating Blantyre Victoria. Gibson told the club's media team, "First half we were probably the better team. I said before the game that the team who makes less mistakes will win. In the first half we had chances. Their keeper made a couple of really good saves, and we had another couple of wee half chances to score. We gave away a penalty which was unfortunate, and the next thing you know, they've scored without our keeper really having a save to make. In the second half, we never really started well. We had a wee bit of huffing and puffing. The pitch played a bit in that. They probably had the better of the chances in the second half, but they never really caused us any problems. Kyle Aitken hasn't had a save to make all game. I said to the players, how many times is it that this season that Kyle's not had a save to make and we've got beat? I thought we should have had a penalty in the last minute, but that's the luck we get and we move on to the next week. Gibson is confident his side can still get themselves out of danger as they host St Roch's on Friday. There are still 8 games to go. I keep saying we need to put more points on the board and we're capable of it. Results. First Division. Petershill 2, Cumbernauld United 6. Thorneywood United 1, Kirkintilloch Rob Roy 0. Ashfield 1, Renfrew 5. Second Division. Maryhill 5, Caledonian Locomotives 4. Third Division. Finnart 1, Girvan 3. Glasgow Perthshire 5, Threave Rovers 2. Fourth Division. BSC Glasgow 0, West Park United 3. Rossvale 1, Giffnock 3. Fixtures. Friday. First Division. Kirkintilloch Rob Roy versus St Roch's. Saturday, First Division. Kilbirnie Ladeside versus Petershill. Second Division. Caledonian Locomotives versus Craigmark Burntonians. Third Division. Glenvale versus Glasgow Perthshire. Threave Rovers versus Finnart. Fourth Division. Knightswood versus Rossvale. West Park United versus Saltcoats Victoria. Tuesday, First Division. Ashfield versus Arthurlie. Uncredited. Read by Alan Todd.
That concludes this week's edition of the Kirkintilloch Herald podcast. Please remember to subscribe to our channels at Tune Review and to tell your friends about our service.